I'm just as guilty as I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I said, we forget those 7 grandmothers that accompany those 7 grandfathers. So in remembering those, so this morning I'll be offering prayers for both, for both, being all inclusive here, remembering also too that we come from a matriarchal society. So, but all right. Ani abuju. Jimmy Gwach Kasham the do. Kachimi Gwach aki, Shkakamekwe. Kachimi Gwach. Wabano Mishomas, meanwhile Nokmas. Jono Mishomas, meanwhile Nokomas. A Pengishmuk Mishomas, meanwhile Nokomas. Giwade Nung Mishomas, meanwhile Nokomas. Just say, Andanui Dogana, Kachimiwach, 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 Kachimiwach. So today I thank the Creator for allowing us all to be here together. And I thank our Mother Earth for all of the things that she provides for us every day, you know, even when she's sleeping, during this time when there's that snow on the ground, when she's sleeping, she's still providing for us, you know, getting those trees ready to tap and allowing us to pull that syrup up out of there. I like I said, I also talk about thanking those grandmothers and those grandfathers that sit in each one of those directions for watching over us every day, for guiding us in our everyday lives. I also offer prayers up for all of our relations everywhere. You know, it's important that we remember that we're all in this together and we need to nurture and encourage each other. And so I just offer prayers every day for all my relations everywhere. Now, Chimiwech. Okay. Is Warren on yet?
I do not see him on yet, but if you would like to start off with the our storytelling today, Deleta.
Okay, yep, I can do that. Yeah, I know sometimes he has trouble getting on. He has a little bit of trouble with, I don't know if there's internet out there where he lives or what, but so we'll just go with it. Okay, today I want to talk about we talk about new beginnings all the time, and most of us we're all familiar with how this place started, you know, after the flood, you know, and then Nana Buju trying to find a way to begin again. And so, you know, he asked the animals for that help that they brought, you know, what they could provide, the help that they could provide for everybody, you know, and the divers came in, those loon, you know, Mong, the loon, I couldn't go down, you know, he tried to dive down and get that dirt and retrieve it back up, put it on Rishkiki's backside there, but he failed in that also. He didn't fail, he just couldn't do it, you know. And then we went to the swimmers even, you know, those big fish even tried and couldn't quite accomplish what needed to be done, you know. And then was the furry ones, you know, Amit and they went down and tried to do it and couldn't do it. So Nana Buju, you know, he says, what are we going to do? He says, we have nothing yet. And so finally, you know, we all know that the little Jeshko, that little muskrat came up and everybody was laughing. Everybody was really sure, you know, because he was used to that. He was used to that, you know, he did all day long, you know, he was small and just minded his own business and played around in the mud. And people just kind of nobody ever took him seriously. So that's a good lesson for all of us, you know, that we need to remember that it's not about how strong you are, or what your name is, or what it's just what you have inside of you, what you carry in your heart. And Jeshko, he really believed that he could help save everybody. And so he went down, and he, you know, he was gone a long time. And pretty soon those little bubbles came up in the water, and Nana Buju found him and picked him up. And, you know, everybody was saying, oh, he's gone. It's so sad he's gone. And what are we going to do now? And then his little hand opened up. And then Abuju found that mud. We think of it as sand, or people refer to it as some pebbles and stuff, but it was actually mud. It was that mud. That's when we talk about Jashku, that word Jashki in our language, that means the earth. He brought back that part of earth. But, you know, it was Jashqued. That's what we call that fungus that grows down there on the bottom. You know, sometimes you'll feel it on your feet. Sometimes it's slippery. Sometimes it turns hard. Sometimes it's, you know, but that's what that was. That Jashqued that he brought back up. And that's what they patted on Turtle's back there to help us begin again. But a lot of people don't know that when he brought that back up, there was also the seeds that we needed to survive that was packed in that Jashquet down there. So they smoothed it out on Turtle's back. And we were really fortunate because those seeds came to fruition. But the very first ones that popped up, the very first ones that came up, that plant life in its purest form was that sacred medicine of ours, that Wingush. That was that hair of Mother Earth that started everything all over again for us. And that was why we count that as the first of our sacred medicines, because when we started over again, when Jashkun brought that back up, that was in there, with all of those other ones, but it was the first plant that grew after the flood came through. And so when we think about that too, we talk about that sacred medicine, that being the woman's medicine, obviously, because of the way we braid it. And we compare it to braiding our hair, the hair of Mother Earth. Just think of how soft and gentle that hair is and what it means to us, how we can use that to put, even by just holding it without even smudging with it, without letting it, doing anything with it. I said, or just the aroma that we get from that just puts us in such a better place and calms everything down. But Yeshku, we have to thank him. I said, that little guy that nobody thought anything of. I said, I'm bragging now, but that's my clan. That's who I am. And I said, I remember one time I went to a meeting, a women's meeting up north. And we were going around the circle and everybody was introducing themselves and where they are, what their clan was. And it came to mine. And I told them I was so proud, I stood up and I was so proud to be able to say my name in the language, to introduce myself in the language and that clan that I came from. And there was a couple of women sitting next to me that started laughing. He said, I ain't never heard of no Muskrat clan before. You better go home and ask again. I don't know who this is. Well, you know what? First of all, shame on them. Shame on them for putting somebody in that position, where field. I was questioning myself. Just when I was beginning my journey. And that wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to me. It wasn't fair to everybody else that was sitting in that circle. And second of all, but you know what? Shame on me more for letting somebody else guide my direction like that. I said, that's who I am. That's who we all are. I said, we just openly embrace that. Embrace it. And I said, when we think about that story of creation and what that little muskrat did, yeah, he spent a lot of time playing around in the mud. And yes, but he's the one that sacrificed himself for the good of everybody else so we could have again. And I said, those medicines, those seeds, that food, that, the trees, everything was in that. We call it fungus or mud or whatever you call it today, but it was that jeshquet that he brought back up that started not just Mother Earth again, but all those plants and everything that was that we enjoy every day and that we rely on every day. So I just want to kind of start out with that because every day is a new beginning. Every day is a new beginning. So I just look forward to every day. I look forward to what the Creator's going to bring me today or allow in my life today. It's not bringing it to me, he's bringing it to all of us. But I just look forward to those teachings, those new ones that come every day. And I hope that my eyes are open wide enough that I can openly embrace what I'm being taught every day and never put myself above that or think that I know everything, because Lord, I've been studying our ways for 35 years now, and I know Bungi maybe about that much. But I remember we had an elder that lived out in Goodhart. Solomon Francis was his name. Funny. He was always funny. He was always laughing, and he always had the funniest way of teaching you something. And I was talking to him one time, and I asked myself, Solomon, how am I going to know? And he says, oh, I don't know. He says, maybe when you're 72, you'll know something. And so I just looked at him, started laughing. I said, well, I just had a birthday and I'm pushing 70, so I'm getting close to that. So you know what? Maybe I'll know something shortly here. But I just want, like I said, share that story, with Jeshko and how, because I know that we all know the story of how he brought that back and put that, but a lot of people, a lot of us don't realize that all those seeds, everything that we needed to begin again was in that. So it was more than just a little bit of dirt from the bottom of the lake or the river. It was a lot more than that. I want to give, is Warren on yet? Do you know? I haven't, I don't want to cut into his time either, but.
I haven't heard from Warren yet, so.
Okay. well, bless his heart. Well, hopefully everything's okay and he's just having trouble logging on. But um, all right, I think I'm going to take this because of what is going on, with the burial sites and everything that are being, I'm not going to say discovered, they're being recovered. It's not, nothing's being discovered. We all knew that they were there. We know that they exist. It's just somebody finally recognizing and admitting what happened and what is. And we're moving forward in that time now. I myself am a survivor of the boarding school. I attended Holy Childhood in Harbor Springs from 1959 to 1964. But and those weren't, they weren't good times. They were not good times, especially if you were singled out for, I said that they couldn't break you down, they couldn't break your spirit. A lot of us that happened to. But I want to share a story with you guys about my dad. A lot of you didn't knew him, some of you didn't, but my dad, he was 89 years old and we didn't know how much longer we were going to have him. And so we decided that we were going to have an open house and invite everybody out to spend some time with him because he'd already had 2 strokes and he was, confined to a wheelchair. So we just wanted to have a happy day and celebrate with him. And we had him outside sitting at a table when there was an elder sitting with him. And then 2 of my cousins came and we were standing behind my dad's chair and we were just talking about, things, how life was going, stuff like that. And then my cousin Jim said, "Oh, holy schmoly, that's what we call holy childhood now. We just have to make light of it. We have to do something to survive and get over it." So, but we call it holy schmoly. And he says, "Oh, holy schmoly." And I said, "Oh my goodness, Sister Winifred and Sister Naomi." Oh, and then we start talking about some things that happened there. And I was talking about when I was in 1st grade. I remember one time I raised my hand and I asked Sister Naomi, or it wasn't Sister Naomi, Sister Winifred was my 1st grade teacher. I said, "Sister, can I go to the bathroom?" And she never answered me. And so I asked her again. And then the room got really quiet and I could hear her walking around behind me. I was scared to look. I just looked straight ahead. And I heard her skirt rustling. And she stopped beside my desk and I turned my head just as she had just taken her shoe off and she cracked me between the eyes she was going to hit me in between the eyes with it, but I jerked my head and she caught the corner of my eye. It's like, and so I sat there. Obviously I wet my pants and obviously I was bleeding all over the place, but I still sat there and I had to sit there all day long in that. And we were talking about that, my cousins and I, and my cousin told me, he said, I don't remember that. He said, "But I do remember when she used to put you in the trash can." Oh my God. I said, we have so many repressed memories about those things. I forgot all about that. I had forgotten that. But yeah, and it wasn't a 5-minute timeout like we have now. It wasn't anything like that at all. I said, she put me in the trash can. And, I was only 6 years old. And then I stayed there all day long. I stayed there, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she'd come over and tip the can over and say, get back to, it was always, Indiantown is where I was raised, Indiantown in Harbor Springs. She said, "Now get back down the road, or get back down that road to the west, which is where it went to Indiantown." But, and I said, "And I will crawl out." I said, "I'll tell you though, they never," and I think that's why I was always a target, is because they couldn't break me. I never cried. I never begged. I never asked them for anything. I wouldn't do it. They couldn't break me, So I slowly crawled out of that trash can. I crawled at the door until I could get feeling in my legs and my feet again. And then I stood up and I walked out and I came back the next day for more. We were talking about that. And then I noticed my dad was getting tired anyway. And so I said, "Grandpa," I said, "how are you feeling? You get a little bit tired?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "I think maybe I should go in the house now." And I said, "All right." So I took him in the house and I took him out of his wheelchair and I got him settled on the couch. And I said, "Hey, pretty big day for you, huh?" And he says, "Yeah, yeah." And I said, "You okay?" And he looked at me and I saw his lip start quivering a little bit. And he touched my face. And he says, "Deleta, I could have been a better boy." And I said, "Oh my God." If anybody knew my dad, they knew that he was the most gentle, loving soul that there was. Always made everybody feel good. Always did. And he's one of those people that when you walked into a room, you just knew Grandpa's here and everything's going to be okay. He looked at me and I said, Grandpa, I said, what? He says, no, he says, I could have been a better boy. I got beat a lot. He says, I got beat a lot. He said, but maybe I deserved it. I could have been a better boy. And so for my dad's 89th birthday, I had spent time with him and explained to him, none of that was his fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't anybody's. It was just what we had to do and where we were at. You know, and I always knew that I was going to talk about this, but I always said that I would never talk about it while my mom and dad were still here because I didn't want to hurt them. But that moment made me realize that my silence was adding to his hurt. He was not only carrying his hurt, he was also carrying the guilt that he felt because he knew what was happening to us there and they couldn't do anything about it. But I'm also so grateful that I had that time with him to help me realize that, you know what, this is good for him. His healing started, and we lost him less than a year after that. He didn't make it another year. But I also realized that when he left here, he was able, he left that baggage here. He didn't have to carry it with him. He didn't have to take that with him. And I'm so grateful that they had, you know, I'm not grateful that what happened to him happened, but grateful that he was able to get that out and let it go. So, you know, he put his head on my lap and he cried for a long time and I just let him. But that's what we have to do. We can't pretend things didn't happen. We can't pretend we're not hurting. We can't ignore what was, but we can't heal if we don't admit either. So I know I'm kind of going on, rattling on, going on a spiel, but this is so important, I said, because so many of our people don't understand either. You know, there's, and I had this talk with one of our young men a couple of months ago, and he told me, he says, Auntie, he says, I'm sorry. And I said, you're sorry? He says, no, I'm sorry. He said, but I also want to say thank you. He said, I just want to say thank you because I was hating my dad and I was hating my grandpa. They wouldn't talk about anything. They wouldn't tell us no, you know, prayers, nothing, no ceremonies, anything. They wouldn't talk about anything. And I was hating them for that. He said, but now I understand. They were just trying to protect us. They were doing what they did so that we wouldn't have to go through the suffering that they did. And I fully understand that. And I said, I just think it's so important that we all understand that too. And then we're at a place now, I said, well, we need to open up. We need to talk about it. And it's hard. It's really hard. Snugut. That's my dad. Snugut. It's hard. We need to, but we need to do that. We need to openly talk about that and let that healing begin. And especially for the younger people, I said, I'm so grateful that my boys have that full knowledge. I have 2 sons and they're willing to talk and help somebody else through it because they've grown up knowing that and knowing what we have to do to make that happen. But I just really think it's important. Like I said, we just, especially now, and even with the House resolution that went through the state of Michigan this past week, allowing the, you know, the Native American curriculum in the schools. Hopefully it passes and it'll all be not just passed, but everybody will abide by it. We can further that understanding, I said, because that's where our healing is going to come from. So, all right. I'm sorry if anybody was hurt by that, but it's what we have to do. And it does hurt, and it is going to hurt, but we can't stop either. And I said, I just, if nothing else, it made me realize that whole thing with my dad, that our silence speaks a lot too. So if we're going to heal and we're going to be whole and move on and openly embrace who we are as Anishinaabe people, that's going to have to be part of our healing. So now, Chimigwech.
Miigwech, Deleta. So we're hoping Warren's doing okay and that he just has internet issues or something. But so we have the rest of the time with you if you're willing to share any more.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Just let me see where I want to go now. Yeah, I made everybody sad. Let's try to do something to make everybody happy now. I'm sorry. As I said, I don't apologize for talking about it, but you know, with the like I said, with everything that's happening, especially now, and we all know that through personal experience, you know, that has happened, that those graves are down here too. They're everywhere. You know, when you walk down that sidewalk down there, when you drive down that road past the church, they're there. We know that. We know that because they've been found, some of them. But all right now, I just, my push is, and my request is, and I've made it numerous times to, the Archdiocese in Gaylord, the one in Detroit, I went to Milwaukee and up to a Marquette. Just now the request is simple, just give us those names. We're looking for those enrollment lists. I just want each and every one, I want to be able to say their name and let them know that they're not forgotten. Every time I go down by Holy Childhood now, every time I go there, those original, if you look at the front of the building there, that brick that's the door, the very door that we used to have to walk into every day when we went in that school. And it's hard, snug up. I know, but I stop there and I go up on that top step and I put that, I put my statement down and I say a prayer for every one of the kids that went there and let them know that, what, as long as I have a voice, you'll have a voice. You're never forgotten. And then I leave that medicine there with them because I know how that feels to be able to reach out and embrace that and know what that means to us. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything too, just but I'll get off that one now. Like I said, we need to go someplace happy. Go back to our beginning, I guess. Maybe I said with your school, that story there too about the little muskrat and that Josh Gwed, that's that fungus or that soil that's in the bottom of the river there, that all of those seeds that he put in there. So I didn't understand that until I was at a language camp and they started talking about the story. And then the instructor that we had broke everything down, with me being a Josh Gwed, that muskrat clan, so I was really interested in what he was saying. So I didn't understand how that all broke down, how it all fit together either. So hopefully, hopefully as all those other Josh Gwed out there can embrace it. But anyway, okay, so what are we gonna talk about now? Let me see.
I don't know if you're seeing the chat, Deleta, but there's just, it's full of miigwech for what you're sharing, and it's important to hear and know. So I think everyone's just right there and that holding that space with you, and I'm grateful for what you've said.
Yep. Well, there's more coming because I've actually started working with the behavioral health over at the Minnemuskee Gummick, and I'm going to be doing the historical trauma training with staff over there. I've started it with the behavioral health staff, obviously, because they have students that or people, clients that come in there, and they really need to understand where a lot of the anger, the frustration, where they, that intergenerational trauma is coming from. If nothing else, it'll help us to help us understand better what that blood memory is. So, when we get in a good place or when we go to a ceremony and we get a little snippet of them, almost like a recall of something, that's that blood memory kicking in, and it's important that we all openly embrace that and accept it for what it is, so that we can grow as Anishinaabe people. But anyway, yeah, that whole training thing is starting with the behavioral health staff right now, and then we're going to expand it into the clinic, I think. So that's all good stuff. It's a good stuff. But okay. Well, you know what? Let's storytelling, I guess. Let's do on deck, that blackbird, how he talk the story about how he got his name, because I just think of that because I had a couple out here squawking this morning and telling me to get up and get busy, and just like, okay, chasing the cats off so they can eat the cat food. That blackbird, he was looking around, he just like, he was looking around at all the other birds, just thinking, wow, man, look at that cardinal, how beautiful that red cardinal is, and the creator, he asked the creator, he says, can I have a, he said, can I have a different color? Can I be something different? And so the creator says, well, what is it you want to be? What do you want to be? He says, well, I don't know. That cardinal is just beautiful. Look at that red. And just, maybe I want to be red. And creator says, okay. He's, no, wait a minute. No, and then the blue jay comes screeching in. And he said, well, look at that. Beautiful blue, different colors, a little bit of white in there, a little bit of black in there. That's nice. He said, I really like that one too. And the creator says, okay, well, okay. And he said, no, wait a minute. He says, wow, look at the eagle. Eagle comes swooping by, he had them, white tail and that white head, and he had those beautiful brown feathers on his wings. And so, oh man, I think that's who it is. That's who I want to be. I want to be like that. Creator says, okay, we can do that. He said, no, wait a minute. And here comes G-Jock. He says, man, he's got a little bit of orange up there, a little bit of white, and look at all the beautiful, ooh, man, maybe I want to be like that. That's who I want to be. Grader said, well, okay, if you're sure. He said, we can do that. And he says, oh, okay. No, wait a minute. He says, I want to see. And so he looked around and he saw that little goldfinch and he says, look at that. He said, everybody can see him coming, beautiful. He said, man, maybe that's what I want to be. The creator was getting a little bit impatient and he says, okay. And he said, okay, are you sure? He says, oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, here comes in that wood, that woodpecker come in. He says, Papa's that? He says, oh, look at that. He's got that beautiful red head. He's got a nice orange beak. And he's got those different colored black and white and brown feathers. That's what I want to be. The creator right this time is getting pretty fed up with him. He just says, okay. He says, if that's what you want to be, that's what I'll make you. He just started throwing all those colors at him. Bam, 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 bam. And, Danke looked at him and said, ka. I said, we all know what our word is for no, right? Ka. No. Ka. So next time you see that, you hear a crow or you hear that blackbird and they're cawing, you just have to wonder, are they really just a cawing or are they still saying, no, I haven't made up my mind yet. So anyway, that's the story of how the blackbird got his color. Mixed all those colors, creator got mad. He just started throwing them all at him. He said, you want to be this? You want to be this? You want to be this? Yeah, and all he could do was cover himself. Ka. So we don't know if he was really saying, no, I'm not ready yet, or if he was just accepting what he had. Just kind of like all of us, right? We never know those things for sure. But so anyway, no Warren yet. Bless his heart. I don't know if he's going to make it. Then probably not if he hasn't been on by now, but okay, does anybody have any questions? Wow, holy smokes, I guess I didn't get a chance to read many of the.
And I'll put in the chat right now, we do have a Google Drive folder of some storytelling resources that you can peruse through at your own leisure. We just wanted to give you some more information, just learn a little bit more about storytelling and learn some more stories. So I'll put that in the chat for you all.
Okay. And I'll just keep talking, if that's okay.
It's absolutely okay. And also know we have tried to contact him, Warren, every way we have possible, but you're welcome to use the entire space. We're absolutely enjoying every aspect of the storytelling and we can always just end. So I think anytime we gather, it goes exactly as the way it's going to and meant to. So however that feels, Deleta.
Okay. You know what? I'm kind of thinking that maybe, because I said, I know what some of the things that I said was tough for some people. But you also need to understand too, that there's plenty of people that you can reach out to. I said, even if you weren't a survivor of one of the schools, you still feel those residual effects of everything that happened there. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for more, explanation. Don't be afraid to even just reach out for a hug from somebody. That's what if nothing else, I can share that gift with everybody. I said, there are people that understand, people willing to help. Some people aren't in that place yet because their healing is just beginning. But mine started a long time ago. 35 years ago, when I first decided to walk that traditional road and I fasted for the first time. That was when I knew that, that was going to be one of my goals or one of my duties here is to try and help heal that. So, I'm easy to get a hold of. Obviously, everyone knows I call myself the mayor of the res, but I haven't got my sign. I haven't got a sign in the yard yet, so I'm working on it. But please, if anybody out there, just reach out or just ask. We're all here to help each other. And those of us that have started that healing journey a long time ago, we're willing to help, willing to talk, willing to do what we can do for you. and with you. So just remember that. And like I said, I offer prayers up for all my relations everywhere too. So, but also know that, you know, just because our family, you know, when we talk about the next 7 generations, we always look out for the next 7 generations. When I was talking to my dad that day, you know, we talked a little bit after he got done. I let him have a good cry and we talked about it. And he, you know, we forget that we are somebody's 7th generation. We don't think of it that way, and I was talking to my dad about that. And he says, yeah, he went there. His dad obviously went there, and so did his grandpa. So, you know, we're talking about, there's 4 generations right there. I was right in the middle of those 4 generations. Fortunately for me, you know, for my sons, for my family, we were the last generation that went there before the school closed. So now I talk about it, and my sons, like I said, they've grown up with that knowledge, they understand, and they're ready to talk about it and help with the healing also. But I have nieces and nephews, you know, so that's that next generation after me. I have great nieces and nephews, and those little ones that are coming up too. And I said, so now I've really been blessed because just recently I had a great nephew born. So I said, we're talking about 7 generations in our family right there. You know, I can't not share that knowledge. I can't not pass that on to help him fully understand why those things were, you know, weren't available to him at that time. But we're in a good place now where you guys that are the next generations coming can grow up with all that knowledge. And please, if you don't do anything else, you know, please just seek out an elder, just sit down and talk to them. You'd be surprised what you can learn from a 5-minute conversation with them. And it's so important. It's so important, especially they need that as much as you do. They need it, you know. And I said, every time we lose another one, we lose a whole encyclopedia of knowledge that goes with them. Even if they don't think they have it, they do. So with that, you know, I just kind of like to say, Chimigwech, I really appreciate everybody, you know, logging on and listening. It warms my heart. It really does to see so many listening, so many people just taking the interest anyway, and take that wherever you will. But, you know, I said, just try and remember too, I said, those people that are lost in the drugs and alcohol or whatever, we all cope differently. We all grieve differently, and we're still grieving. We're still grieving the loss of our language, of our culture, and, you know, those ceremonies and traditions that we use. So, with that, you know, like I say, just Chimigwech. It just, it's always an honor for me to be able to do something like this. And even if share a little bit, or hopefully somewhere along the line, you know, I will have helped someone. And then if that's the way it is, I say, I can leave here happy. So, Chimigwech. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. Or like I said, I'm really easy to find. Everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows where I am. And yeah, my life's an open book. That Moccasin Telegraph can get a hold of me really quick. So we rely on that a lot. But Chimigwech, everybody.
Chimigwech, Deleta. So I've put in the chat a reminder for our next event too. We have more storytelling on March 18th. It'll be an evening session from 6 to 7 with Fred Harrington and Gerald Garrow. And we know at least Gerald is very knowledgeable about snow snakes, so we think that we're going to have some stories about that.
Yes.
So does anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments right now? We still have about 15 minutes if anyone wants to just talk during this time together. Be rich.
There was one question in the chat wondering, can we learn about our clans through story? Wondering if you have anything to speak to that.
That's how I learned about mine. That whole story of creation, right? Yeah. But, you know, and keeping in mind the fact that we come from that matriarchal society, our clans here, you know, in this area, we followed the mother's bloodline. But in my case, you know, my mother was non-native, my dad was native. I got my native blood from him. So we followed my grandmother's line. That's how we went back, what her family was and who she was. So that's how I got mine. I says, and then to learn more about it, I just listened to those stories so I could really, you know, that muskrat's role in everything and how we fit in there. But yeah, because those stories tell a lot of that. Okay, I'm gonna look.
And in the chat, Tony did put in, we had a question about where do we get notifications about upcoming events, including these ones. On our LTBB Odawa NSN.gov website, there is a hosted events page, so you can see everything from all of our departments too, but including these Coffee with an Elder events.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a good thing that you guys are doing. I'm so happy to see it. I mean, you know, I know that Manya last time talked about smudging and I missed that. I hope there was a recording of it so we could see it. Yeah, those things, I love it. I'm so grateful for you guys to, first of all, the opportunity to share a little bit. And second of all, that you're doing this too, to preserve it for everybody. So.
And just to say too, the link for all of the rest of the series will be the same Zoom link. So if you have the link, and the dates and flyers can be found, like Amanda said, on that events page, as well as you'll see them through social media, emails, and whatnot. But and Jade asked, can you talk a little about natives who have non-native parents? I know I've experienced as an identity crisis.
And you know, it's really hard when you walk in those two worlds. It's really hard to find balance. And that's what it comes down to for all of us. You know, we have to find that balance in there, and it's really hard. And it was really hard for me walking the traditional road, you know, because my mom didn't support that. You know, my dad passed away. My biological dad passed away when I was 9 years old. And that's where I get my, you know, my name from, Gasco-Smith. That's where that come from. But my mom also remarried another native man too. He was actually godfather to two of my younger siblings. And he, you know, he openly embraced us. Not many men would do that, take on a young woman that has 11 kids, because it was 11 in our family. And I'm right in the middle of that. But as far as walking the traditional road, I'm the only one out of 11 that does that, you know. But your spirituality is where you find it. You have to find that balance, find what works for you and go with it. I had, you know, my two sisters that they belong to Green Sky Hill, and that's great because that's where they find that connection at, that spiritual connection. But I said, I keep going back to me and my dad and that story I told about us, because we need to find that balance. And it was with him, he never had to choose either the white world or the native world either. I says that organized religion versus our spirituality. And there is a big difference. You know, we have a way of life. We don't have a religion. But my dad, because of what he endured at the Catholic school, right till the day he died, he walked both. He accepted both. You know, he towards the end, the priest would come to our house and give him communion. You know, he anointed him. But I also, you know, we also did our cedar bath and anointed him with that cedar when he passed. So it's about finding that balance there. You know what the thing is though too, when I started talking about my mom, and I think it was just another way of her trying to protect us. You know, when she found out I was walking that traditional road, there was no two ways about it. I just wasn't not going to do it. She did everything she could to prevent that. And that was shortly after my dad passed away. And it's just like, you have to find what works for you, and you have to embrace that. You know, and I said, I felt like, and it's hard. There's another way that's hard too. You know, I said, because there's a lot of people still have it in their heads that the only way to do that is just leave everything native behind us. And that's just, you know, but if you know that that's what's in your heart and the Creator put there, and then that's what you're supposed to do, then, you know, I had to openly embrace it. I had to stop pretending that it wasn't there, that it didn't matter, because it was being more and more obvious all the time. So, but there's no, you know, like I said, if you can walk in both worlds, and you can still find a way to maintain that balance. And that's what it's about, just finding out what's right for you and embracing that. And as I said, I'm not here to, I keep telling everybody, I say, I'm not a missionary. I'm not here to try and convert everybody. It's not right for everybody. It's not something that's going to happen for everybody. But I know it was right for me, and that's what I did. So hopefully that'll help you, Jade. And you know what? I'm over there all the time, every day on every Friday. So if you ever need anything, honey, just reach out.
Any other questions or comments before we wrap up?
All right, if no one else has any other questions, I just want to say miigwech for everyone being here today. So thankful for your storytelling today, Deleta. Miigwech.
Chimiigwech. Pamapiko amen.
Pamapi.